There is scientific evidence to say there are at least 6 people out there that look like you, that are not related to you or connected in any way. A lookalike or a doppelgänger. So in this episode we take a look at an ongoing case. We go back to August 2022, where in a forest in Ingolstadt, southern Germany, on an isolated track in dense woodland, a Mercedes car was found, and in the car, across the rear seats, there was the body of a young woman. Now, due to German privacy law, any ongoing case, the accused and victim's surnames are not released, so it will be the person's first name and the surname will be their initial. The police identified the victim as Sharaban K, a 23-year-old beautician with Iraqi ancestry who lived in Munich. She'd been missing several days, and a distraught family who reported her missing was given the heartbreaking news. Sharaban had been murdered by at least 50 stab wounds to the face. She was fully clothed, and robbery or an assault motive was ruled out. Her purse, money and cards were still in her Mercedes car. The weapon, single-bladed, possibly a kitchen knife, was not found. The police recommended the family not do a formal identification, and police will try to identify the body through dental records and DNA. But from her height, weight, hair and skin tone, they were sure it was Sharaban. Sharaban had told her family she was going to visit her ex-husband in Ingolstadt, but he knew nothing of her visiting. He and Sharaban had not spoken for many years, and he was ruled out of having anything to do with her murder. He worked from home and rarely left the house. His wife also worked from home and could account for his whereabouts. His house was in a gated community, and cameras show he never left the estate in the timeline of her death. At the autopsy, the doctor recorded various identifications that did not match Sharaban. Though some of her teeth had been smashed, she had wisdom teeth that had not been removed. Sharaban's upper wisdom teeth had been removed in her teens, but this body had them, though they had not come through yet. Another identifying feature was a fracture in her lower arm that was done in early childhood, quite a bad one. There was also a scar that ran 2 inches across her lower shin. The police did a search through missing persons and rounded it down to one person. From DNA, from a hairbrush and fingerprints, the body was formally identified. Police named the body as Khadija Ho, a beauty blogger, and investigators were perplexed as to why the victim looked so much like Sharaban, who owned the car. Could this be the work of a serial killer who hunts a certain type, who abducted both Sharaban and Khadija and murdered one and abducted the other? At Khadija's family home, they accessed her social media, and she'd be in touch with Mrs. Sharaban. Sharaban had made the first contact, where they discussed beauty, fashion, and how much alike they were. Police made a request to access Mrs. Sharaban's social media, and then it became perfectly clear. Sharaban had been trawling social media and sent out dozens of messages to women who had the same appearance, skin tone, hair, and build, and sent the same message. The message was promises of free makeup and beauty products to review. Majority of the contacts ignored her friends' requests, but several of the contacts accepted and replied back. Most conversations with the contacts after a few days ran dry, and messages were ignored, but Khadija kept chatting. They had the same interests and worked in the same industry. Their conversations turned into an online friendship. Police began realising Sharaban's conversations were deleted, but Khadija had kept all her conversations. They were all intact. Police further investigated Sharaban. Her finances were in poor state, and she was heavily in debt. A failing business, a party lifestyle, flash apartments, high-end cars and expensive fashion had been built on a mountain of debt. But where her debt had been slowly increasing, in the final months before she went missing, debts were run up significantly. Sharaban was still missing, but through more investigation, it appears she had a secret boyfriend, Shakir K. He had extensive criminal history, mainly a dealing and one conviction of wounding. Sharaban's family, deeply religious, would have been horrified their daughter had been having an affair with such a seedy individual. But her close friends described how very much in love they were. With mounting debts, a boyfriend the family will never approve of, Sharaban knew her family would end the relationship. Shakir was also missing. His apartment had long since been abandoned and rent left unpaid. Police had finally put together the pieces of the case. Sharaban was looking for a doppelgänger, a lookalike to fake her own death. The main reason, her family would not approve of her boyfriend, and the business had been in decline for the past year, not returning any profit, and constantly running at a loss every month. She invented a story about seeing her ex-husband in Ingolstadt, where she'd lure Khadija and murder her. They would then go about disfiguring her and replacing her identity. Khadija was left in the car with various documents to prove it was Sharaban that had been murdered. But the question now was, where is Sharaban and Shakir? Shakir had a very distinctive car, a purple BMW. This had not been found, but had been spotted around driving on various traffic cameras. Police put a search out for the car, and it was seen on patrol. Detectives and a helicopter kept track of the car and followed it to a remote motel. Shakir was arrested in the car park. Sharaban was hiding under a bed in the room. Their plan was to flee the country in the next few days. On their arrest, police issued a statement. The suspects came up with a plan to search online for a woman who looked similar to the German-Iraqi woman, kill her and place her in such a way that the corpse would be mistaken for the suspect. The suspect met the victim on social media and persuaded her to meet with false promises. The two suspects drove to the victim's home on August 16, 2022 and picked her up. Authorities said the victim was lured out of the vehicle and killed with multiple stab wounds in a wooded area in Ingolstadt. The suspects then placed the victim's body in the car, where it was later found. The suspects have remained in custody since their arrest, and prosecutors have issued warrants on suspicion of murder. End of statement. Sharaban and Shakir were arrested on the 23rd of January 2023. Their trial will be at a later date in 2023, and if found guilty of murder, they'll both be sentenced to life imprisonment. The case has gripped Germany, and it is now called the doppelganger murder.